It's a lot like the flight checklists. It's muscle memory. You've done this before. You just have your game face on and you do your job. I certainly remember when I first started residency. My heart was pounding, my hands would shake a little, but this is now my 8th year of surgical training. My name is Amanda Bruegl. I'm a 4th-year fellow in the GYN oncology program at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. I take care of people with cervix cancer, endometrial cancer, ovarian cancer, so diagnosis, surgery, chemotherapy, end-of-life care versus cure, and everything that comes in between. So usually I say I'm a women's cancer doctor. I first applied to medical school and was very interested in primary care. I wanted to work with either my tribe or another reservation and be a community doc. I believe in primary care and I believe in the model of treating patients that way, but it was not a good fit. And at the end of my intern year of residency, I did my gyn-onc rotation, and I was like, this fits. It was just a gut feeling. But I had a lot of kind of internal strife over this because how is somebody who does a surgical subspecialty going to go back and work for a small tribe? And so I've had to kind of think about different ways to be creative. You might not be able to work with your reservation, but how else can you serve your community? I often feel that there's my native side and there's my work side, and they don't always get to merge together. And I think a lot of us in medicine go through this struggle of personal identity and professional identity. I have lighter skin, and when my hair's up, people don't always know that I'm native. So it's very easy to have this cloak of just being everybody else. And I found that parts of me have been very unhappy, and so in the past year or two, I've decided to stop separating these two parts of myself, just to let the full facet of me be present in my daily life and with patients. And they actually enjoy learning about different parts of you. I think the only reason I'm here today on this path is through mentorship. I had no idea what it meant to be a doctor. I had no idea the process you had to go through. I mean, this idea of medicine I thought was a complete pipe dream. But there were people who were able to see something in me and kind of say, I believe in you. And there's no way you can ever thank your mentor enough for what they've done for you. The only thing you can do is pay it forward. You help the next person in the cycle make that next step. That's how you say thank you to somebody who's helped you. And as I've become in a role now where I've been able to mentor some people, I get so much out of that. I find it so rewarding to see this kernel of amazingness in students and to help inspire them to make their next steps. Hi there, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chu, for inviting me and the warm welcome from Medicine X. Thank you for hearing some of my story. If you want to hear more of these stories, our keynote speaker from this evening is Dr. Eric Brodt, and this is part of an initiative that he has to bring mentors to American Indian Alaska Native youth. And mine is just one of many stories that we have. As part of the Diversity in Medicine talk, I tried to think a lot about what to say. Everyone here has such polished conversations. But I was taught from my elders, you just speak from the heart. So that's what I'm doing here this morning, speaking from the heart to you about what diversity in medicine is about. Part of my journey was a hard one for me. I thought I was going to be a family doc. I was going to go to the community, and I was going to do the work, and I was going to help our people. And when I was in medical school, a school I picked because there were Native faculty, there were Native medical students, I wouldn't be the only one. It was a great primary care school. And on that journey, I thought, this is it. This is how I'm going to be a primary care doctor and get back home. And on that journey, it didn't take me long to realize maybe family medicine isn't a good fit. I did my rotation in women's health early, thinking, no way, I'm not going to do this. This isn't for me. OBGYNs were kind of scary and intimidating, and I didn't need that. I didn't like horror movies, and OBGYNs were right up there with scary people. But as I did the rotation, I just loved women's health. I loved working with them, teaching them about their bodies, what's normal. And so I had a little bit of an identity crisis during my third year of medical school, talking about, gosh, how do I work with the people? How do I stay true to this? And I met with one of my mentors there, and her name is Polly Olson. She's actually currently the executive director for the Association of American Indian Physicians. And she sat down with me and she said, you need to take the gifts that the Creator has given you, and you need to use them. Because these are gifts that are given to you not for you to selfishly use, but for you to use with the people. And so I worked through my little identity crisis and thought, you know what? Indian Health Service still takes OBGYNs, they still deliver babies, they still do advanced women's care. I can still live this dream, I'm just modifying it a little bit. And then I graduated from medical school, and part of our graduation, we have a Native traditional blanket ceremony to honor the Native students and the students that are interested in Indian Health Service work when they're done. And at that graduation ceremony, she gave me this feather. And she said, you're a warrior now. You're a warrior for our people, and you're a warrior for the community. And you need to remember this when you go forward, when you're not here in our zone anymore to protect you and work with you. You carry this message. And so I bring this here today to know that I'm not alone. I'm an introvert. I don't like these things. It scares me. But it also reminds me that it is not just me. I am here for future students. I'm here for people who are interested in trying to help Natives get into medical schools, to help Natives get into the health professions, to be a voice for our people. So by bringing this, I remind me that it's not just me up here, but this is the mission of our people and our communities to really bring in all these voices into the schools. So while I was in residency, still with the mission of going back and working for my tribe, I had my gyn-onc rotation at the end of my intern year, and it was abusive. There was like 100 hours, and I was tired, and I never saw my friends or my family, and I loved it. I was like, this is crazy. And the onc attendings are like, you've caught the bug. You've caught the onc bug. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is there a cure? Like, Indian country doesn't need a surgical subspecialist. What am I going to do? So I just kind of ignored it, you know, like most people, when you're faced with something uncomfortable, you just kind of stuff it down and see if it goes away. But I continued to love it. And I found that I had to circle back and talk to my mentor, Polly, again, and talk to her about this, because now as a surgical subspecialist, I wouldn't be able to work day-to-day in Indian country. And that was really scary to me, because the whole reason I went through the abusive training of medical school was so I could. And it's also rewarding, but it's also, you know, painful. And so I talked to her, and she says, you need to honor that gift. And I talked to my fiance at the time, now husband, and he's like, I'd be really disappointed if you were called to do this and you didn't do it. You'll figure out how you're going to do this eventually. And so I thought about it, and I talked to people, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And you know, one thing that's hard about training, especially as an underrepresented minority, is that you are often asked to put your culture aside. And I did that. I did that during residency, and I did that during fellowship, because I wanted to become what they wanted to make me. And that wasn't healthy for me, and that's not healthy for our communities. And I think as we think about going forward in education, we have to think about these people, these underrepresented communities, and whether it's cultural, sexual diversity, or any other type of diversity, are we trying to force them to be us? Or are we going to ask them to teach us about that community and strengthen our knowledge? And so since probably mid-fellowship, I had some sort of epiphany and decided, I'm done. I'm done doing this. And I actually found that there were patients who came to me specifically to share their stories. There were patients who you might not have known were Native, who looked at me and said, I see your earrings. What's your tribe? And then they'd tell me about their story. And I would bring our teachings to them. and they would bring their teachings to me. And then we had learning within our training group, within our faculty, within our nurses. And I think that is where healing is when we are open to our patients and they are open to us. And so my challenge with my last 30 seconds today is for us as educators, administrators, patients, leaders, is that we need to really look at what we are asking of our trainees. Are we asking them to be like me? Or are we going to have co-learning, where I ask them, please join me in learning these skills, and then they ask of me, please understand me. Now, thank you.